G'day viewers, this is Troy from Troy's Visual Arts channel. I've now mounted my high tension power supply unit for my Iconoscope TV camera onto a circuit board so it looks nice and neat and ready to install. Yet to add terminals and all that for the voltage tap points, but I'll be doing that very soon. In the meantime, I've just got some wire points just so I can demonstrate the voltages coming from this unit. So firstly, I've got my multimeter connected right across the circuit, which when I power it up I'll have 1015 volts going across it. Now here I've got my 1846 Iconoscope spec sheet, which gives out the voltages required for this tube. So first thing I'm gonna show you is the grid 1 voltage, which is maximum of negative 50 volts and relative to cathode, and in typical operation is minus 40 volts. So I've put it in a 50k pot so I can adjust the voltage of the grid 1. So here I'm connecting the negative to cathode and the positive to the pot. So now I power it up. So here I've got minus 39 volts. I'll probably go down a step so got more accurate reading. So I've got minus 40.1 volts according to the multimeter. And yeah, that's the typical operation voltage. I can adjust it up to about minus 45.8 volts and down to 0 volts. So I've got control over the grid 1 adjustment. And we want it around about 40 volts, minus 40 volts plus. Now I'm going to turn off and connect the leads to the anode 2 connection. So here we've got the anode 2 connection. Not anode 2, sorry, anode 1. My mistake. Anyway, the anode 1, the maximum voltage is plus 400 volts relative to cathode, and its typical operation voltage is 300 volts. And where I've got the pot positioned, I can get an adjustment between about 430 volts and about 220 volts, something around that area. Anyway, I'll power her up once again. So here we've got 303 volts, which is preferable because it's typical operation voltage. If I move the pot to the higher end, I can get upwards of 375 volts. That's interesting. I actually got over 400 volts initially. And the lower end I've got 213 volts. Well, either ways, I'm within limits, so when I put it at the upper end, I'm not exceeding 400 volts. Strange thing though is, last time I powered this up, I was getting around 430 volts maximum. So things are a little bit weird with the readout from the multimeter, and yeah, I'm just not sure about that sort of why it's doing that, but either ways, yeah, I'm getting about 375 volts and a maximum, and minimum 214 volts. As I mentioned in a previous video with this circuit, I read from one end of the circuit to one point, and I'm getting 1 voltage. Then I should get the reading from the other end of the circuit, I should get a certain voltage that adds up to the maximum voltage going across the whole thing, and I don't. And it's just I think it's probably just the resistors inside this multimeter that's kind of throwing things a little bit out of whack with the voltage readings. But anyway, relative to cathode, I'm just going to go by this. It's within limits, and yeah, I can adjust the anode 1. Anyway, so they are adjustable, and relative. Hold on a second. So I'm going to now connect the lead to the anode 2 grid 2 connection, which is tied to 0 volts, but relative to cathode it'd be plus 920 odd volts, something like that. So now I'm going to power it up, and we're getting about 929, 930 volts relative to cathode. It's a bit low because you want about 1000 volts as typical operation voltage, but according to my tech friend, he says that these tubes are quite tolerable outside of the tolerance range, so it should still work at around that voltage. But anyway, we'll find out once I've got it all rigged up and I'm actually powering the damn thing up. Yeah, so there you have it, the high tension power supply now mounted on a circuit board, and it's working quite good. Anyway, stay tuned for my next update on my Iconoscope TV camera project. This is Troy from Troy's Visual Arts channel, signing out.